As I mentioned earlier, there's some pretty severe negative consequences to launching a capital campaign that doesn't hit goal. So we have to hit goal, okay? And to ensure that happens, historically, fundraising consultants invented something called the silent phase. But I've begun wondering whether there's any value in having a silent phase of the campaign. Let's just play out that scenario and you'll see why I question the silent phase. The way that most campaigns have been run for the last 30 years is like this. Fundraising consultants tell their clients you first need a silent phase, and during the silent phase we'll solicit the top gifts, and then once we know how much money those top gifts bring in, then we will finalize the goal and do the general phase with the rest of the people in your database. But let's just think through the assumptions inherent there in this idea of a silent phase. The assumption is that we want to do a silent phase and not firm up the goal until we know what the first 30, 40 top gifts look like, because those first 30, 40 top gifts account for probably 80 or 90% of the total dollars raised. And so the idea behind the silent phase is we don't want to announce to the public what our final goal is until we know what our top donors are willing to give. And on the face of it, that makes sense. So that if you go out and you solicit your top 40 people and they don't come in anywhere near what you expected, well, then we will announce a smaller goal, reduce the size of the project, announce it to the public, do the general phase, and still be successful. But are you really? Think about it. If you go out and you run a silent phase and you solicit your top 40 largest prospects to the campaign, in soliciting those people, you're making an inherent promise about what you're going to deliver, what you're going to build, what that project is going to look like. If you don't hit the numbers that you need from these first 30 or 40 individuals, and then instead choose to drastically, at that point, pull back the scope of the project, the public might not be aware of what you've done, but certainly your 30, 40 most loyal, largest, best supporters do know. So is there really any value in having a silent phase? Because it's really not silent to the 30 or 40 people that made their best gift to you because you made a promise to them. In summary, the idea behind the silent phase is that the general public will never know you made a promise that you can't deliver, right? But all your top donors do. So what good was the silent phase? So here's my bottom line point. This is the takeaway, the learning point from this video. If you plan well, you don't need to keep your campaign a secret until you hit the proverbial 70 or 80 or 90% of the goal. If you plan well, if you do a good job of estimating not only estimating expenses, but income as well, prior to launching the campaign, it makes the whole concept of a silent phase a moot point. That's the takeaway.